Okay, our last presentation of the evening, Prometheus Credit by Cheng.
I will make this long. Hi, I'm Cheng, co-founder of Prometheus Credit. Many of us are very familiar with these three lending numbers, but many of us at the same time don't really care about it. But international members and newcomers, they don't have this number. But what if I told you, financial institutions stand to lose an estimated $50 billion. I mean, I would take 1% of that any day, just from this group of people who are credit worthy. So what we did was we created a solution platform that gathers global credit data, and from our AI-powered credit modeling, we're able to provide credit metrics to financial institutions so that they can make better business decisions on these credit-worthy people. And how we do this is through our core product called Horizon X. It's customizable, where we can differentiate between mortgage lenders, auto loan lenders, and also personal credit lenders. It's integratable to any system through our API, and then actionable where financial institutions can say, hey, maybe I can take part of that $50 billion that's left on the table every year. From our AI modeling, we created over 300 variables, and we are able to look and dive deep into someone's personal spending behavior. But here's the thing, though. Everyone's like, oh, no, I gave my data to some Prometheus Credit. Who are these guys? Don't worry about it, because using our federated machine learning, we don't need to store raw data. We do group-based summarization that is compliant to cross-border data flows. And we do end-to-end encryption. And from this, we have way more. We also built a decentralized digital community platform that allows borrowers and lending to happen along with traditional lending platforms. So it's more like a lead and follow-on investment or borrowing lending per se. Our total market is huge, but for a small company like us, we can come in stealth. Our team, this is what you get when you cross an ex-banker and an engineer. So our vice GM, she actually made and implemented a system in China for lending, uncollateralized lending under 16 seconds. Myself, I have sent some cameras to Mars. And best of all, we have our legal partner, Kevin, to help us with our compliance, and our advisors who's in strategy and data analytics. Thank you.
Great.
All right. Yes, huge market, but can you tell me why a lot of players failed at this very thing, and where you think you're going to succeed? Because a lot of people tried a lot of different ways, right? You got the Lendos of the world, et cetera, but the risk on the underwriting side was too great for financial institutions, blah, blah, blah. You know the story.
Yes, of course. And this is why we created this part, where institutions where they think, okay, if this person needs, 10K, they're unwilling to back that 10K. Like full on. But if we're using our platform, we have a set of credit metrics that can be viewed by other users. And then in a mass majority, they said, hey, let's split that risk. I'm willing to, some people who are willing to support this person in getting the lend will say, I'm willing to support maybe up to 50%. But in return, the borrower for a short period of time can say, I'm willing to pay up to 5% to 10% back to those people who are willing to back them for the lending that they would have gotten from the bank. So collaborating together with the bank, we would tell them, we have a group of people who are willing to put down money for this person.
Got it. So you're building a community of individual lenders on one side. The financial institution then is just a clearinghouse.
Basically.
Got it. And what's the risk percentage for those individual lenders? So I get how you've taken the risk away from the financial institution. It's not their money.
And because it's on a blockchain, everyone knows the dirty things you've done. That's one. And two, we work together with third-party data, I guess, credit data. And so we send those data back and say, hey, this guy on the blockchain, hey, exactly, this is how much they borrowed. They didn't do their due diligence on paying back. So if they were to leave the US or leave their immediate location, it still follows them wherever they go. That is the problem that we're actually solving. It's how do we make sure that this person who's here borrows something financially, goes back to their own home country and then says, I'm clean. But we have a way to let other people know that when you go back, you still have a debt to pay. And usually people would want to pay that because there's a lot more you can do when you're back.
Got it. So you're relying on identity as well when they make the move.
Exactly.
And what do you use for such identifier?
Identity file?
Identifier. I mean, look, we have here social security numbers for a reason, right? Those are our identifiers.
Exactly. So,
But,
I mean, say people in India, China, Taiwan, they each have their own national ID identifiers. And from their own credit bureaus, we have the ability to pull credit from them. They have their identifiers, and when they log on to our platform, sign up with their platform, they need to show the identifier as part of the KYC. So we're stringing in both sides.
Yeah, you're doing KYC before you, from different sources. Okay, fine. We can talk about which ones you're already supporting, but better question, how many loans have you done to date? Have you done any?
No, we just started. We incorporated back in March of this year.
Do you have any, I mean, outside of the US, any countries that you're already like able to analyze and understand the profiles of potential borrowers from those countries? Which countries?
Especially for China, and currently right now we're working with Hong Kong and in Taiwan. The reason why we wanted to start with that one is because coming from USC, roughly have about 13,000 international students, and then out of that, 6,000 are from China. And we're working closely with, fortunately, this year's APEC Summit is in San Francisco, and we're working closely with our professor, Carl Voigt, who is a ABAC chair who submits reports to the ministers. And we're part of the steering committee studying group. And currently right now we're writing a white paper for all the 21 APEC countries, analyzing and scoring each of the maturity level of the bureaus, credit bureaus for each of those countries.
Mm-hmm. Building off of that, can you talk about any key partnerships you are setting up? I know you're just starting or have in place with financial institutions, data warehousing companies.
I'm glad you asked. We're working very hard with USA Credit Union, and then there's a mid-cap bank that I'm not allowed to say right now.
Are there any regulatory implications of this?
Yes. So a lot of, back in March of last year, there was a cross-border data flow agreement that was done between all the, I guess, APEC countries and then some with Europe, but then Europe is a little funky with the GDPR. We're able to, because we're using federated learning system, and we do a group-based summation, it's actually not a non-identifier A and B. The data transfer is something that we performed some sort of manipulation on top of it. So it's not a direct data transfer of that report to here or wherever it needs to go. So it doesn't, how do you say, we don't get killed by,
How much capital are you trying to raise?
We're looking for 500K seed to further develop our team and to develop our modeling capability. But we're definitely really looking at partnership with the bank, and because that would set us off.
Yeah, I think number one is you got to model your underwriting.
Yes, we're working really hard with the mid-cap banks, mortgage lending underwriter. They were very interested because they wanted to understand what, besides the assets that they have, but assets is something else versus spending. Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's not no, but even if it's a beta model, that's the first thing. If you can model your underwriting, then the I don't exactly move data, but I still move data part makes
exactly.
sense.
Thank you.
And who, people, as mentioned in the first question, have been building or tried to build these. Who are you thinking is the biggest threat to your growth? Who are your most direct competitors right now?
So there were 2 Stanford MBAs. They created a place called Nova Credit. What they're doing right now is they're actually working in partnership with credit bureaus themselves. That bureaucracy, it's hard. They started in 2016. They barely have actually they have a functioning one, but because they're working so hard with the bureaucracy, it takes a long time for them to grow.
When you have a marketplace, getting to critical mass is pretty challenging. What side of the marketplace is going to be the hardest, and how do you plan to build up both of those?
Well, what do you mean by which side of the marketplace?
So you have the investors and you have the lenders. I mean borrowers. So presumably it's going to be a lot easier to get the borrowers.
A lot easier to get borrowers.
So how are you going to? So ultimately, how are you going to be getting the investors? And what is your go-to-market strategy for both sides?
For both sides. So what we hope to do is to actually start at USC, because USC campus, sometimes when paychecks fall through, things like that, and we all know each other. We all within the Trojan community. When I'm able to look at your credit metrics provided by Prometheus Credit, we can gauge, say, hey, I can make a few bucks off of this person who needs my money right now, so here you go. And I know that you go to USC, so I can find you.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say, have you considered starting on the microcredit side of the world? If you're going straight into mortgages.
I mean, only with the bank, yes.
Great. Okay.
Yeah,
well, thank you very much. That was our last presentation. And I appreciate all of the presenters, the judges. Also want to thank the lead sponsor, Wilson Sonsini, the Tech Trek sponsor, KPPB, and the general session sponsors and exhibitor sponsors, JPL, Michelson Medical Research Foundation, and Kelsey Bolton. And there is a reception out here, so hope you all enjoy. We'll all kind of hang out, and thank you for coming.